What is the craziest encounter of rich kid syndrome that you have experienced? Girl at work told me she hated her dad. I asked why. She said he keeps asking for money since she used his credit card for a Euro trip and left him an 80 grand bill from last year. 80 grand credit card bill for a vacation? Holy fuck, edit. I can see how, but it still seems like you have to try to unless your trip is really long. Although I don't know what I would expect from someone whose dad has a $80,000 plus credit card limit. That's levels of fuck you money I've never put thought into. First day as a librarian in a private school. Help a 7-year-old with the printer. He offers to tip me. I like this one because he's not a snot. He's just trying to be polite. Haha, it's super innocent. Like, kid doesn't know. He's just trying to be like the grown-ups he has grown up around. My friend is a commercial pilot and works for a large company that has a flight department consisting of several jets and turboprop airplanes. The owner's kids, and a group of their friends, were granted permission to take one of the jets from the central part of the US to the Bahamas. Upon arriving in the Bahamas, they were meeting other friends and getting on a very, very large yacht for a week. They realized the yacht was equipped with fine dining food, not the type of food they liked. Junk food. They ordered the pilots to fly back through US Customs and to their hometown in the Midwest. Once there, they had to pick up multiple sides of barbecue ribs, burgers, hot dogs, soda, beer and piles of other junk food and fly back to the Bahamas, and do so within a time frame that still allowed them to leave with the yacht on time. It costs roughly $5,000 an hour to operate the jet they were using, and it never even struck the owners as something extreme. Twins in high school. Birthday, I think it was 17, they get matching pickup trucks. Like the souped-up larger-than-life cool-as-fuck looking black ones. Twin A is the brat, and smashes his in some remarkable timeframe, I want to say same day. It was crazy though. Parents decide not to get him another one, though I'm sure insurance probably covered it even if it was his fault, but regardless he is going to learn a lesson. The lesson? Take Twin B's truck, he's the responsible one, and crash it on purpose. If he can't have one, neither can his brother. So much recklessness, spite, and downright illegal in what he did. Follow up, not sure if he went to prison, etc. I do know he wasn't at school the next year, but he very well could have just dropped out. He was pretty sketchy. Twin B was actually a really good guy, but as soon as his brother was gone he became very quiet. He did eventually get some sort of car, but I remember it was much more toned down to the point I can't remember what it even looked like, but he got something. There weren't many other rich kids at the school, so this whole story stuck out as a huge event when it happened. Humble rich kid. I was a club at my college town and my roommate's new friend who drove a Raptor was at the bar. I started shooting shit and we were getting along, so I offered to buy a Y-bomb, vodka Red Bull shot. Being as wealthy as he is, he said, "You don't have to do that, man, save your money. Round will be on me." I explained to him it didn't bother, I was having a good time, and insisted I buy the shot. Immediately after that, he pulls out a black Amex and purchases the nicest VIP booth in the club, around $3K. Then ask what drink packages they have and ask if he could buy 2 bottles on top of Max package. Looks at me and goes tit for tat. Safe to say I don't recall much after that. I went to college with a guy who totaled 5 Mustangs in a year. I don't think he was sober enough to remember any of them. At least he doesn't give up. My personal favorite was in college. Kid down the hall from me bought a brand new Fender Stratocaster and played with it for a day and got bored and sold it to me, case and all, for $20. I still have it and play it 15 years later. It's a great guitar. When I was in college, a friend that was heavy in the frat life told me about a freshman that got kicked out for having a servant flown to town to do the hazing chores he was supposed to do. Don't talk to him, he'll think he's people. One time a college dorm mate next door was stressing his dad hadn't yet given him money for the month, and $1,000 wasn't going to last him for the week. Meanwhile I'm having to donate plasma to afford my next meal. Life just be like that. Bruh, I try to live off less than $1,000 per month. There was this rich kid in our class who was literally disgusted by us buying used stuff, like computer parts, on eBay. Once during conversation I said I bought on eBay memory module for my PC and said to me that I should have a little dignity, and if I buy used stuff I should keep it to myself. I know a garbage man that works in rich neighborhoods, and takes out trash around move-out time for the uber-rich kid university. Every year, he finds 200 to 300 game consoles, the newest ones, and sometimes desktop PCs. The kids don't want to take them home, they just throw them all out. He makes a good approximately $40K a year on eBay, he just cleans stuff up and sells it, nice supplementary income. A 14-year-old in full volume cursing meltdown, where the fuck is he? Because the pilot of the private helicopter that had brought him there had gone off to get a cup of coffee. The kid was done skiing for the day and found it totally unacceptable that he had to wait 10 minutes before he got flown home. That poor pilot, I hope he wasn't fired over a cup of coffee. I was that poor kid who ended up getting a scholarship to a ridiculous private school. The one thing that stood out massively for me was probably how much people cared about what everyone else's parents did. Like your parents' achievements counted for yourself. My daddy just brought a new plane, yes, a literal statement. So what does your dad do? When I replied, fuck all, they laughed and thought I was being cool about it. There's a lot of rich kids in my particular business program in university. I met this one girl a few months ago at a social. We were chatting a bit about our program and she proudly told me about how she threatens to sue the school whenever things don't go her way. She also said something to the effect of, they have to take the threat seriously because they know I actually have the means to follow through, haha. I studied abroad during school, and my class had a super rich kid. One day he stops showing up to class but still meets up with us after class for beer. When we eventually asked why, he said he was done going to class, and that he was going to sue the school and have his dad stop making donations, but didn't want to talk about why. Everyone made fun of him and he stopped coming to meet us after class for the rest of the semester. Came to find out that one of the foreign professors sexually assaulted him one night when he was drunk. It's been a decade, and I feel terrible. A girl in my school was surprised by her parents in the school's parking lot with a new BMW. A freaking BMW. Everyone who is out is basically watching this go down and she starts crying. At first we are all thinking it's because she's so happy, but then she runs back into the school. Apparently they were supposed to show up earlier, I'm assuming when there would be more students to witness the surprise. I felt bad for the dad because he looked totally embarrassed and sad about it. You know, in his head he's like, I created this monster. I would have taken it back and returned it. Made that little ungrateful poss walk to school. I really want a classic Jaguar E-Type convertible, but annoyingly you can only get second-hand ones. You need to tell them you can get new ones. Expensive as hell, but it's possible. They hand build them with modern equipment for the enthusiasts that want the old car without old car problems. Ex-girlfriend's friend said to me, can you believe there are people who have never been on a private jet? Yeah, I'm one of them. My college roommate's mom gave him fucking $1,400 for the weekend, just randomly. He blew through the whole thing by Saturday, asked his mom for more money and was screaming at her because she promised $1,400 for the weekend, and he spent most of what she gave him on Friday, which isn't a part of the weekend. Damn, what do you even spend $1,400 on in one day? Besides clothes, shoes. Edit, seems like this comment kinda blew up. Consensus says cocaine, haha. I knew someone who goes out of the country just to have a haircut. Spoiler, the guy is from the Vatican. A Saudi guy in the UK got in a crash, with light damage to one side of brand new Mercedes. He called for one of his assistants to come get him, even though the car was fully drivable. My friend rolled up on call with his tow truck and asked the guy where he wanted the Merc towed. The guy gave him the keys and said, keep it, I don't want it. Damn, I need to befriend some Saudi princes. GF family is wealthy, she's working her way to it. But she was waiting to get a chance for a promotion, and the words, I cannot believe anyone would make somebody work for almost a year to get a promotion, came out of her mouth. And I laughed. My ex was the same way. I once complained to her about a couple of long shifts in a row, and her response was, so? Just don't go into work tomorrow if you don't feel like it. A long time ago I was dating a rich girl, not insane rich, but rich enough. Well, I'm from Norway and we have a recycling system for plastic bottles, you get like 10 cents per bottle. Her family had a literal mountain of empty bottles and crates in their warehouse, they had a warehouse. I asked her dad, what you gonna do with these? For which he replied something like, oh, those are from our employees' staff parties from a couple years back, I just haven't had the time to get rid of them. Logically I told him that I'd recycle them for a percentage. He said, "Keep it all, guy." So I did. I had to do multiple trips to several different stores, but it ended up being like $1,300 bucks, which was insane money for me at the time. I bought a guitar for the money. I realize now it's not a crazy story, but for me it was insane to earn that much money for 4 to 5 hours of work because her family couldn't be arsed to do it. I had 2 friends in college who were from UAE. They were brothers, and their parents were sending them to school in the US. They were actually pretty cool and down to earth, if not a good bit weird. They knew I didn't have a ton of money and couldn't afford to do the cool stuff they did, so they covered me all the time. Crazy stuff, like renting a private plane to go to a concert, black cars with drivers, expensive dinners in exclusive clubs. On the weird side, they slaughtered a goat in the bathtub to make a traditional Arabian dinner. And they wore far too much Draker. I watched Rich Kids of Instagram on YouTube and am still recovering. Take comfort in the fact that those Instagram accounts are used a lot to bust the parents for tax evasion. My rich cousin contends that the reason people are poor is because they're fat and lazy. If they took better care of their appearance, they too could be rich in a society based on first impressions and looking the part. Your cousin sounds like a dick, but all things being equal, I have to imagine being fit and beautiful makes life easier than fat and ugly. I used to have a friend who would constantly say, "I love when my dad gives me money," and, if I ask for a certain amount of money my parents always give me $50 extra. This girl then bought an apartment boasting about it on Facebook and how proud she was of herself, how at 23 she was able to afford a home at such a young age all on her own. Still makes me want to face plant into a pile of jagged rocks.